Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net, where you can get all of the teachers' salaries and pensions. And today we have Bill Zettler with us, and that's what we're speaking to. Bill,
in a way, Bill Zettler is one of us. Bill Zettler's been writing these articles for our various organizations for 8 years. He found us, and he's done such a great job on it that we're going to publish a book on the writings of Bill Zettler in this thing. So that'll shortly be available with a frontispiece about the seriousness of this thing. And you've done a remarkable piece of work, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're proud that you're one of us.
Thank you.
Well, the constitutionality of these pensions and paying them.
It's very debatable because nobody knows, because it's never been adjudicated. But what Jack says is true. The Civic Federation says we're not going to touch anybody that's in there already. The unions are even worse. They say you can't touch anybody that was hired. In other words, if you were hired and you were guaranteed a $100,000 pension, you can't change that even if you've only been in the union for 1 day.
Yeah,
that's what they claim.
We saw union lobbyists making $100,000
right.
per year.
We know that they get
working
those,
1 day
right.
of teaching.
That's an example.
That's just another whole level. But
so what the Federation is saying is better than what the union's saying. The union says you can't touch anybody, workers or retirees. You can't change anything.
Both of them are afraid to touch this bomb where the fuse is lit.
Yeah.
The fuse is lit. It can't be put out.
We're talking about 5% of Illinois workers are in the state pension system. The politicians will not touch the 5%, which means they're punishing the 95%. That's the
right.
point we have to get across. Now, there's one thing that is often not mentioned by the Civic Federation that should be, is just the COLA. The cost of living adjustment of 3% a year, which is what Illinois pensioners get every year, no matter what it is, really. That's $210 million next year if we eliminated the COLA, $210 million. Over the life of a pension, from the time somebody retires till they die, on average in Illinois, a third of that cost is COLA. If we cut the COLA, we could cut the cost of the pensions by a third.
What was the COLA at the time they enshrined this in the Constitution?
In 1970, when this was enshrined, the COLA was 1.5%, and it was not compounded. Now it's 3%. Compounded, which, as Jack often mentions, the rule of 72, right, it doubles in 24 years. Most people, when they retire, will end up on a pension before they die more than twice what they started with. And of course, these aren't old people, Jack. You and I are old people. They're 54-year-olds.
You know, I'm an old goat myself. I was born in 1923, but that cohort of people that were born that year, we're supposed to live a certain length of life, well, I'm grateful that whole cohort's living 20 years longer on average, and I personally live a lot more than that. But I didn't start taking my Social Security pension till I was 70 years old. But the people in the education thing start taking it when they're 55, and that's part of why this whole system is busted, is we're all living longer, despite these idiots in the environment that say we're all going to die from some minuscule couple of molecules per barrel of something they've just learned to pronounce.
Well, teachers live longer than the average person, too. So it's longevity on top of longevity. But anyway, the Civic Federation says you can't cut the COLA, which would cut the cost enormously. There have been 2 lawsuits. This has been adjudicated in Minnesota and Colorado. They were able to eliminate the COLAs in those states. So we could do that here.
Doesn't the Civic Committee bill, though, have the 401k defined contribution piece to it?
Yes, it does, because that's part of Senate Bill 512, what's called the Tom Cross bill. That's one option for new employees. And even current employees if they want to get out of what they have. Now, the 401k is much better for young people. Young people would take this money with them.
This is like the free markets. This is
like
exactly what free market
right.
people do.
And it's better for the young teachers because they can take the money with them. They don't have to be a teacher for 35 years to get their pension.
Right.
It's better for the taxpayers because we're not liable for future losses on their investments. They're responsible for it.
Do lawmakers have the political will to actually put pension reform through? Isn't something better than nothing?
This is the only thing on the table right now is the Tom
These
Ross
guys
bill.
won't
I don't think
touch-
anything's going to get done if it's not the
Madigan
Cross
sits down
bill.
there, and he's benefited from all this money that's poured into him, to his hands. In recent years, Madigan's gotten over $1 million of that kind of money into his political hands, and so is his daughter. I don't think his daughter's going to sue him for anything he's doing, that's for sure. But there's all this money pouring into the political hands of the Democrats downstate that's coming out of the hides of the teachers. The teachers' dues are paid to the union, and 80% of those dues are nothing but, they have nothing to do with their job whatsoever. It's 80% determined by the U.S. Supreme Court in the Beck decision. 80% of that is nothing but political action. And you're saying how many millions of dollars a year is that?
80.
$80 million a year.
So
There's no rich man in the state. There's no combination of 100 of them that would give that much money into politics in the state.